The Auto Club 500, presented by Quakerston, is sponsored by Ask.com. Where do NASCAR fans get answers? Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. By AT&T, your world delivered. And by State Farm, where great coverage meets great rates.
36 of 250 laps complete, 36 laps, 72 miles. Jimmy Johnson out in front of Kurt Busch now by 2.5 seconds. Jeff Gordon 4 seconds back, with close company from Greg Biffle, Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch back to 6th. Denny Hamlin rounds out the top 10 right now. Of all the cars that pitted early, Matt Kenseth's made the most progress. He's up to 11th.
Yeah, and as we showed at the top of the show, the fuel window was about 40 to 44 laps. But when you look at those 17 caution laps, remember I talked about a 2-to-1 ratio. It should let these guys that did not pit be able to go to about lap 50. But now here's the guy on the move, is Ryan Newman in his 39 car. Remember, he had the problem under that first caution where he lost the end plate off the wing, was all the way at the back of the pack. He has now made his way back up to the 23rd spot, so he's cracked the top 25 now.
Joe Nemechek on pit road with the hood up. It's the first of the cars to have problems today. All other 42 starters on the racetrack, and it looks as if they're going to push Nemechek's unsponsored number 87 to the garage. Let's check with Dick Berggren.
Well, last year, Kyle Busch and his team were an absolute house of fire for about 3/4 of the year. But when it came time to running for the championship, they just didn't have it. Kyle said that they needed to get a little bit more progress, step up, try some new things, and that's exactly what they're doing today. They are already thinking about the race that's going to happen here around Labor Day, because that one counts toward the championship. So they're trying some different things. Right now, that setup is causing the car to be a little bit tight in the center, a little bit loose off, and he needs more grip. So they've got their work cut out for him when they do pit here in Kyle Busch's area.
You know, Larry, as I watched the 48 car, the only time this whole 3 days we've been here that he wasn't number one on the sheet or in a race was that one moment during qualifying when he got beaten by the 83 car for the pole.
And you heard his explanation for losing the pole to Vickers. They'd both gone to In-N-Out Burger the night before, and Jimmy had a double-double, and Brian just had a single, and that must have been the difference.
That must have been.
5 100s.
As we said, was it a cheeseburger without the cheese?
I think it was. Confusing.
Now there is Brian Vickers, who qualified on the pole, but had to go to the back of the field for what NASCAR technically terms an unapproved change or adjustment prior to the race, and he's worked his way up to 21st.
And you can see him. You can run on the apron here. You can run down off of both corners, and on the apron you can get into turn 3 very, very well with the left sides down below the white line, which is totally different than last week.
And I tell you, that car running with him, David streaming that 12 car, his first year driving for Penske Racing, he replaced Ryan Newman in his car. David started back in the 38th position, and he's been keeping stride with Brian. He's up to the 22nd spot.
And the reason you run so close like that, you get a good draft here. I mean, that car behind there, the 12 car, is getting a nice pull off of Vickers. You see Vickers go way down below the white line in the middle of the turn. That's certainly legal, and there's a lot of grip down there sometime.
Rookie Joey Logano running in 40th spot, and the mission for today, bring the car home in one piece, finish the race, because as caution is out. Raindrops.
Keep falling on my head.
Didn't that song win the Academy Award?
A long time ago.
Yeah. It's not one we want to hear today. Not here. There's a look at the 18-year-old rookie in today's Home Depot rookie profile. Joey Logano has a chance to reflect on his first Daytona 500 and his first week as a full-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver.
Your car is sitting there when setting out for the Daytona 500. That's when it finally hit me that's the biggest race you're ever going to be in, really. And the first time to be in that was really cool. Even though it didn't go completely the way I wanted to, I felt like I learned a lot, and a lot of stuff I can go for the next time I get there. I can use a lot of that. A lot of it's just me still trying to get used to the feel of these cars, and you got to have them. They drive so different than every other car that I've ever driven, and I think that any other car there is. So it just takes time to get used to the feel for these things, and I'm sure eventually I'll get it.
Darrell, that's one thing you remarked on, how different these cars must be to drive than anything else he's ever been in.
Well, even the guys that have been driving in the Cup Series their whole careers, a lot of them don't like this car. And so the good news for him is this is the only car he's ever going to have to drive. So some of the other guys had the old twisted sister that they got to drive. So at least what he doesn't know, he doesn't know.
Well, I'd say pit road will be a busy place. Krista, they're coming your way.
That's right, and if it's a twisted sister, well, David Reagan says we're not going to take it because David Reagan is right in the middle of the Roush cars, all Roush cars running in the top 13. Reagan said his car, it needs to turn better. It's a little tight in the center, four-wheel slide off. Steve?
Krista Kurt Busch in the number 2 car says he's a little snug getting into turn 3. You see him in the upper left. Let's go to Matt.
Bad news for the competition. Leader Jimmy Johnson said his car needed to hook better in the center of the corner. Chassis adjustment already completed, Dick. Jeff Gordon in for his pit stop, and like just about everybody else on my end of pit road, the car is tight in the center, and they are a bit loose off, so they're trying to make adjustments with air pressure to fix that problem.
Kurt Busch is going to win the race off pit road.
You know why? Because he's running good. I tell you, the crew always, Larry, you know this, they always step up when you're running well.
It definitely helps everything. That was a great pit stop by Pat Tryson and that crew. We also saw David Reagan, the Jimmy Fenningling crew, that 6 car, the UPS car, having some good stops.
Under caution for the second time today for a light sprinkle coming across the track. Time to have a look at today's State Farm safety report.
We've all rode down the road and had a rock fly up off the ground and hit your windshield. Imagine this rock hitting your windshield at 190 miles an hour. Imagine this rock being a lug nut or a wheel weight or other types of debris bouncing off your windshield. Well, a glass windshield couldn't stand that. But the windshield in the stock car can. The reason for that is a 1/4-inch thick polycarbonate hard-coated windshield. That's right, when anything hits it, it's almost bullet resistant. It bounces right off. Watch this. You can't do that with a regular windshield. With stock cars, it'll take a licking and you can keep right on going.
Somebody get me Mr. October. You know, Reggie Jackson drives the pace car here today. He's got a big fleet of muscle cars that he has restored and collects. Why'd you bring Mr. October to the February race? To remind everybody that the next race here at Auto Club Speedway is no longer Labor Day weekend. It's in October.
Which makes it, as Dick Bergman was talking about, right in the middle of the chase.
Yeah, and Reggie is a great car guy. You see him at Barrett Jackson, and then Meacham's in a number of those car auctions.
Now, we just saw John Andretti in that 34 car. Now, John is leading this race right now because they elected to stay out to get those 5 bonus points. That's a car that right now is in the top 35, but they're working very hard to stay there because once we clear Bristol, the 5th race of the year, we will go to the current 2009 owner points. The first 5 races based on the 2008 owner points.
Reed Sorensen comes off pit road after having to make a penalty stop.
Could be it. That's a backup car. Maybe didn't get enough practice in the car to know exactly. Tacks vary a little bit. May have had a tachometer problem.
Reed was too fast entering the pits and too fast exiting the pits. He served 1 penalty for that.
That makes you think there might be something different reading in this tack than what his backup car. This backup car has something different about it.
Look at Bobby Labonte as we give you our first Ask.com trivia question. Well, for what team did Mr. October hit the most home runs in his storied career?
You can't answer it. You have to go to Ask.com.
It's hard not to answer them, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, especially when you know.
It's like when you know the answer, you just want to.
Dan Gurney is not the answer to this question, but you can go to Ask.com and find out. And Reggie has a brand new website, reggiejackson.com. He told us about it in pre-race. He's just launched that in partnership with Ask.com. The answer is 269 home runs for one team.
Now, John Andretti and Dave Blaney, they've now made pit stops as well as Elliott Sadler. So now Kurt Busch, the 2 car, he's leading this race. And I don't know about Hammond's swing. There's some work to do there.
Kurt Busch won here in 2004.
Let's take a look at this one more time. Looks like he's chopping wood.
That's not the first time I've seen him do that.
He's Mr. Third week of February.